Number 10. The Bailong Elevator. The Bailong Elevator is the tallest outdoor elevator in the entire world. It's also located at the stone pillars that were the inspiration for the floating mountains seen in the hit movie Avatar. It is an incredible feat of human engineering, despite its many controversies. The elevator stands over 1,000 feet tall, or 300 meters, and can be found in the Hunan province of China. It goes from the floor of the forest all the way to the top of sandstone pillars, some of which reach heights of over 3,000 feet, or 900 meters. Anyone who's seen the movie Avatar will know exactly what I'm talking about. These really are floating mountains. In Chinese, Bailong Elevator means 100 Dragons Elevator. And yes, it's officially recognized as being the tallest outdoor elevator in the world. But it actually isn't new. Construction on this impressive elevator began in 1999 with an investment of around $20 million. It opened just 3 years later in 2002, secured snugly against the face of the sandstone cliff. There are 3 double-deck elevators with glass faces that will make anyone with a fear of heights vomit into their boots. The views going up are truly dizzying. There was an upgrade in 2015, and it currently takes just 1 minute and 32 seconds to go 1,070 feet, or 320 meters. If you were thinking about free climbing the elevator, it would take 68 minutes and 26 seconds, according to the French lunatic who actually did it. As for the controversy I spoke of in the beginning, the issue was that China was building a massive elevator inside of a UNESCO World Heritage Site that was supposed to be protected. There was a big uproar about it, but in the end, it actually made more sense to funnel the tourists into a single spot, saving the previously used mountain trails by bypassing them with the elevator. Number 9. Akashi Kaikyo Bridge. Another amazing feat of human engineering is the Akashi Kaikyo Bridge in Japan. It is the longest suspension bridge in the entire world, and incidentally, it's also surprisingly old. The bridge first opened in 1998 as a way to get between Kobe and Awaji Island. It was one of 3 expressways used to connect the island of Honshu with Shikoku. The bridge is 6,532 feet, or 2,000 meters long. Even after 20 years, it's still the longest in the world. Before its construction, the only way to reach Awaji Island from the mainland was by using passenger ferries. But this was incredibly dangerous, because there were very often severe storms. In 1955, 2 ferries sank between these pieces of land, with the result of 168 deaths. It was the outrage and shock of the public that kickstarted the Japanese government into developing plans for the enormous bridge. It took over 100 contractors to finish the job over a span of 10 years. The bridge can withstand winds of up to 178 miles per hour and earthquakes that measure up to 8.5 magnitude. It is an incredible feat of human perseverance in the face of design. There are over 1,700 lights on the bridge, and it cost roughly 3.6 billion United States dollars when all was said and done. What's the most amazing engineering feat you've ever seen? Was it a giant skyscraper, a bridge, or something else entirely? Tell me about it in the comments below. Then remember to subscribe to Talltanic for more incredible videos just like this one. Number 8. Palm Island. Get ready to have your mind blown. Even if you don't know what Palm Island is, you've probably seen photographs of it. Palm Island is an artificial island made by human hands off the coast of Dubai in the Arabian Gulf. It's often been referred to as the 8th wonder of the world, and the fact that it was even able to be built is a testament to human engineering. It was one of the most audacious tasks ever undertaken by man. The island is shaped like a palm leaf, which is where it got the name. But rather than be constructed out of concrete slabs built under the water, Palm Island was made using almost 8 million tons of rocks and sand taken from nearby mountains. Plus, millions and millions of cubic feet of sand were dredged from the bottom of the ocean to help form the island. To put the amount of rock and sand it took to build this place into perspective, you could create a 3-foot wide wall to circle the planet 3 times. Additionally, the island is so big that engineers had to use satellites to properly form its shape. They needed expert precision to create the exact form of the palm that you see now. The workers were guided using the highest level of GPS technology as they sprayed sand into place. When all was said and done, Palm Island covered an area of about 600 football pitches. But what's really incredible is that it took 6 years to build. The project started in 2001 and cost $12 billion to finish. It wasn't until 2007 when the first inhabitants of the island moved in. There are now around 1,500 beachfront mansions on Palm Island and about 6,000 apartments. There are also some major hotels. This place was built for the rich by the super rich. Number 7. Ba Na Hills. Ba Na Hills in Vietnam is not only the most desired Instagram location on Earth, it's also a shocking feat of engineering. The resort at Ba Na Hills was basically made just for Instagram. It's located 5,000 feet or 1,500 meters above sea level and very close to the central Vietnamese city of Da Nang. This place is a weird mix between a French ski resort and a Buddhist mountain retreat, plus a bit of Disney World. Its most famous attraction is the Golden Bridge, also known as the Hand Bridge. It's a massive arced bridge that seems to be held in place by 2 giant stone hands. The bridge is definitely a fantastic piece of engineering. The resort isn't even what this story is about, even if it is magnificent. While most tourists are ogling over the bridge being held up by the hands, trying to score the perfect Instagram photo, others may be more interested in the Ba Na cable car, which is the longest non-stop cable car ride on the planet. It broke records when it opened at over 19,000 feet in length, or 5,800 meters. The cable cars take about 20 minutes to get beyond the Golden Bridge to the French village at the top of the mountain. You have to pass through the clouds just to get there, at which point you find yourself in a magical place complete with fantasy rides, 3D cinemas, a wax museum, and even an alpine roller coaster. Ba Na Hills really is one of the most amazing places on the entire planet. People definitely underestimate how modern and spectacular Vietnam is. Number 6. Grand Canyon Skywalk. The Grand Canyon Skywalk is, without a doubt, the most impressive glass bridge in the world. The Skywalk towers 4,000 feet or 1,220 meters above the Grand Canyon and costs $30 million to make. It was built in 2007 and it gives visitors the feeling as if they're walking on air. For those who have a fear of heights, this is an absolute nightmare attraction, but that doesn't take away from its splendor. The walkway can withstand winds of up to 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers an hour. And the frame of the Skywalk was constructed using 100 million pounds or 40 million kilograms of steel. What's truly impressive about the Grand Canyon Skywalk is that it has a vertical drop underneath of between 500 and 800 feet, or 150 to 250 meters. That would mean instant death for any silly tourist who climbed over the edge and decided to jump. In 2015 alone, over 1 million visitors arrived at the Grand Canyon Skywalk. But it's so safe and well-designed that there have been no accidents at all. Even though it looks precarious to walk out over the lip of the Grand Canyon, it's actually completely safe. Number 5. Three Gorges Dam. The Three Gorges Dam is the largest dam ever constructed. When construction began in 1994, it was the largest engineering project ever undertaken in China. It was completed in 2006 on the Yangtze River in the Hubei province, and to this day, no other dam even comes close to being the same size. The dam itself is 7,660 feet long, or 2,330 meters, and has a maximum height of 607 feet, or 185 meters. Used in the construction were 37 million cubic yards of concrete, or 28 million cubic meters. The dam was made to be a deep water reservoir that allowed ocean-going freighters to drive inland from Shanghai to the city of Chongqing, making shipments much easier. There are also turbine generators that came online up until 2012 and currently have the capacity to generate 22,500 megawatts of electricity. According to Britannica, this makes the Three Gorges Dam the most productive hydroelectric dam on the planet. The dam also works to protect millions of human lives from flooding across the Yangtze Basin. The idea for the Three Gorges Dam was first discussed in the 1920s. Detailed planning for this immense project didn't start until 1955. It really was almost 100 years in the making. Number 4. The Great Pyramid of Giza. It's impossible to look at the most impressive feats of engineering in human history without taking a look at the Great Pyramids of Giza. While there are 3 different pyramids at this incredible site near Cairo, the main pyramid of Khufu is really the most impressive of them all. But there has been a lot of speculation over how this wonder was built. Was it by aliens? Could humans truly have pulled off such a feat of engineering thousands of years ago? The answer is no and yes. Aliens definitely did not build the Great Pyramids of Giza, but human hands most certainly did. The main pyramid was built for the second king of the 4th dynasty, Khufu, and it's the largest of the 3 pyramids. The lengths of each side of the base measure about 755 feet or 230 meters, and the original height was 481 feet or 145 meters. Khufu's pyramid is the most colossal building ever erected on our planet. It's an absolute monster of creation. The core of the pyramid is made of yellow limestone blocks, and the outer casing is actually all but gone. There are even interior burial chambers tunneled through the huge blocks of granite. How many blocks did it take to build the pyramid? 2.3 million of them. They were cut, transported, and used to create the structure, which, when finished, weighed 5.75 million tons. To this day, the Pyramid of Khufu is still a technological wonder. What's really interesting is that the entrance to the Great Pyramid is 59 feet or 18 meters above ground level. The corridor then slopes into the pyramid all the way to the unfinished underground chamber. There are then different passageways that lead to other rooms, not all of which have been discovered. As for the building itself, most historians agree that the Egyptians used a series of sloping embankments of brick and earth that would have increased in height over time as the pyramid rose. Blocks were put in place using ramps, rollers, and levers. And if the Greek historian Herodotus is to be believed, it took only 20 years to construct. However, it did require the labor of roughly 100,000 workers. Number 3. Taipei 101. At one time, Taipei 101 was the tallest building in the world. It's a massive skyscraper that dominates the horizon anywhere you look in Taipei, Taiwan. It's also home to the highest Starbucks in the world, which is perhaps the fanciest and most exclusive Starbucks ever opened. The only way in is by making an appointment. The skyscraper only lost its title as the world's tallest building in 2009 when the Burj Khalifa was finally completed. Taipei 101 is 1,667 feet or 508 meters tall. It was the first building on the planet to break the half-kilometer mark. It was finished in 2004 and as of 2018 was still the largest building built in an earthquake zone. It's kind of a vague title, but it's still pretty cool. Taipei 101 was designed with such precision that the building will withstand an earthquake of up to 9 on the Richter scale. Number 2. The Typhoon-class submarine. The largest submarine is still functioning today. The Typhoon-class submarine came to life thanks to the Russian Navy, and it is the undisputed master of submarine design. It's larger than any other submarine built by any other country. It's 33,800 tons and nearly twice as large as the United States Navy's Ohio-class ballistic missile sub. That's pretty impressive. However, there is only one of them left functioning, and its capabilities are up for question. The TK-208 Dmitry Donskoy is the last Typhoon-class submarine still remaining. But, according to Forbes magazine, nobody is completely sure what kind of weapons the monstrous submarine is carrying. It could have enough firepower to obliterate any country with the push of a button. But then again, it could also be armed with just a single missile. Nobody knows whether this marine destroyer still has a nuclear arsenal, even though it was originally equipped with at least 20 intercontinental ballistic missiles, each of which measured 53 feet or 16 meters in length. Number 1. The Transport Spaceship. Just recently, Japan succeeded in launching the world's largest transport spaceship. Anything to do with space is obviously an impressive feat of human engineering. Plus, anything that can go to space is going to be an extremely cool vehicle. According to the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, they launched the Kounotori 8 H2 transfer vehicle to resupply the International Space Station with water, batteries, food, and other supplies. But it's the largest transport spaceship to ever leave Earth. The transfer vehicle itself is only 32 feet long, or 10 meters, 14 feet in diameter, or 4 meters, and has a total mass, when empty, of 23,000 pounds, or 10,400 kilograms. But this is still the biggest transport spaceship we have ever come up with as a species. It can carry almost twice as much payload to the International Space Station as the next best. A single trip can give those stationed at the ISS almost 13,000 pounds or 6,000 kilograms of supplies. What do you think is the next greatest engineering feat that mankind will conquer? Number 10. London Zoo Gorilla Escape. The one time you want the glass to be strong enough is when you're at the zoo. There's not anything more terrifying than a gorilla smashing through the glass of its enclosure and going on a rampage. Back in 2016, there were reports that a huge gorilla named Kumbuka broke its glass enclosure and then escaped at the London Zoo. However, the London Zoo then categorically denied that the silverback gorilla did any such thing. Of course, the gorilla definitely escaped its enclosure on a Thursday evening and had to be tranquilized by the staff and then dragged back into its den. But the curator of mammals at the London Zoo denied all allegations that the gorilla smashed through the glass of its enclosure. To this day, there is a lot of debate going on about whether the gorilla really did punch through its glass cage. But either way, an unnamed staff member from the London Zoo did come forward to describe Kumbuka the gorilla as a psycho, even telling the media that he had secretly escaped before. The unnamed worker told BuzzFeed that he had smashed through the glass enclosure not just once, but a couple of different times. This is in stark contrast to what the curator of the zoo told the popular media, as he claimed that the huge gorilla was a gentle giant and extremely friendly. So which one is it? Is the gorilla a lunatic that smashes through glass, or a friendly animal who likes to smile for his daily visitors? Have you ever encountered an angry gorilla at the zoo? What about in the wild? If you've ever gone on a safari, tell us about it in the comments below. Then be sure to subscribe to Talltanic if you haven't already. Number 9. Shark Tank breaks in Shanghai. Glass enclosures should be made to be indestructible. Specifically, the shark enclosure at an aquarium should have some pretty indestructible glass. But that's apparently not important in Shanghai, where an aquarium holding sharks exploded at a local shopping center and engulfed visitors in a tsunami of water, glass, and live sharks. Of course, these weren't great white sharks, but it's still a pretty scary thing to imagine. Nobody wants to go to the dolphin exhibit at their local aquarium and have enormous fish smash through the glass and slam into their face. That would be absolutely horrifying. This particular shark tank at the Shanghai shopping center shattered on December 18, 2012. It held 33 tons of water when the incident occurred. 15 people were injured, and at least one person was carried along a wave of debris and sent smashing through a cosmetics counter while fish and sharks flopped around on the floor. You might think that the most serious injuries came from the sharks and fish splashing out of the broken aquarium and hitting people, but that wasn't the case. According to the Bangkok Post, the 15 shoppers who had been taken to the hospital mostly had injuries from being showered with glass. It's like if you were standing in front of your bathroom mirror and the mirror exploded for no reason. As for the animals, 3 sharks, a few dozen turtles, and heaps of other fish and marine life all died. Number 8. The Mad Monkey. You might expect a tiger or a gorilla to smash through the glass at a zoo, but recent footage at a Chinese zoo captured a monkey no larger than a puppy trying to smash through the glass in an extraordinarily brilliant way. In fact, the footage looks like the beginning of the Planet of the Apes. A monkey was captured using a sharp stone to try hammering through the glass. What's really crazy is that this happened just weeks after Chinese scientists came forward to declare that they had created the first human-monkey embryos. And while that's a whole different story, we might be on the verge of a simian revolution. Of course, this tiny little capuchin monkey didn't manage to smash all the way through the glass. However, the glass did shatter, which caused the visiting tourists to break out in hysteria. The monkey first sharpened the stone and then began banging it against the glass. Those who were watching thought it was quite entertaining until the glass literally shattered. This caused them to run away in fear, and zoo workers were quick to come and intervene before the glass could be broken entirely. According to zoo workers, the monkey responsible for shattering the glass has shown previous skills when it comes to using tools. The monkey is known for cracking open walnuts with stones, while the other monkeys in the enclosure simply bite them. We're basically watching the evolution of the human species in extremely slow motion. Number 7. Siberia tiger jumps through window. This, however, is quite a bit more terrifying. It also involves significantly more death. Back in 1988 in Houston, a Siberian tiger managed to smash its way through a reinforced window and drag a veteran zoo worker into its enclosure, where it then mauled the worker to death. This Siberian tiger was 450 pounds of pure power, and it managed to smash through glass a quarter of an inch thick, or 0.7 centimeters. At the time, Ricardo Tovar had been peering through the glass at the tiger. There must have been something in Ricardo's eyes that really rubbed the tiger the wrong way, because in one foul swoop, it smashed through the glass and the wire mesh and dragged the man to his doom. According to news outlets at the time, there was no information on how the accident happened. This was an isolated incident, and luckily the tiger wasn't killed because of what it did. After all, it's not the tiger's fault that it was put in the cage. It also wasn't the tiger's fault that the guy was eyeballing him through the glass. At the time, Ricardo was the first zoo employee ever to be killed by an animal at this particular zoo. Number 6. The Child and the Bear. What's even scarier than a tiger? How about a grizzly bear? A terrifying incident at a California zoo in 2019 unfolded after a child repeatedly hit the glass barrier of a bear's cage and caused it to shatter. This happened at the Oakland Zoo, and thankfully the child didn't manage to destroy the glass completely. The glass did shatter, but officials claim that the animal was never at risk of getting out. In fact, the zoo had to place a warning sign on the shattered glass, telling visitors that they were in no danger of being attacked by the bear. But that probably didn't make anyone feel better, considering the giant grizzly was standing on the other side of the fractured glass, and that's not a position anyone wants to be in. This is especially true since the grizzly bear stood at 8 feet tall and weighed 900 pounds. The zoo claimed that only the laminate layer was shattered by the child and his rock, but that still wouldn't make an average person feel very comfortable. As we've already learned today from this video, animals with intense strength can't be held back by a measly glass barrier. But perhaps the most hilarious part of the story is that zoo officials were unable to locate the family of the child who broke the glass, as they likely ran away after the incident happened. As for the broken glass, Fox News reported that it would cost the zoo $67,000 to replace. Number 5. Angry Hockey Dad. Aside from zoos and their ineffectual glass barriers, something deadly could happen in other situations where people are behind glass barriers. The glass barrier at ice rinks aren't just there to keep crazy fans off the ice. They're also there to stop rogue hockey pucks from flying into the crowd and breaking someone's face open. But who would have thought that an angry hockey dad could hulk out and smash the glass with his fists? According to Sporting News, a hockey dad managed to break through the barrier at a youth tournament in Pennsylvania while angrily cheering on his child. However, he unlikely had Hulk-like strength. Officials claim that the dad probably broke the glass because when he pounded on it, his wedding ring hit a sweet spot and caused the entire barrier to shatter. Nobody was injured by this incident, even though the dad had some pretty sore hands afterwards. The man ended up being ordered to pay for the damage and was then banned from the arena. As for whether his son ended up winning the hockey game, it was never reported. This is just another example of how absolutely crazy parents get when they go to their kids' sports games. Everyone should take a lesson from this guy. Sit down, drink your beer, and cheer like a normal person. Number 4. Cracked Bridge. There's something oddly fascinating about walking across a glass bridge. Hundreds of feet above the ground, nothing but the air underneath your feet, looking straight down into a great abyss. It's enough to make some people fall down and start shaking, and some people simply love it. There's no denying our fascination with glass bridges. But this is one case where the glass absolutely needs to be strong enough. And yet, a tourist managed to break the glass floor of the United States' largest pedestrian glass suspension bridge. This happened in Tennessee, and the bridge was immediately closed for repairs. The Gatlinburg's Sky Bridge stretches over 650 feet across a massive valley in the Great Smoky Mountains, and it hovers 140 feet above the ground. The story of how it broke is hilarious. It's one of those don't walk on the grass situations. There are signs posted at the bridge that tell visitors not to run, jump, or bounce. But one of the guests ignored the sign and decided to do a baseball slide across the glass panels. Upon impact, the guy shattered the glass. According to the officials, it was a metal object on the guy's clothing that managed to chip the glass and cause it to crack. But this really raises the question of how strong is this glass? If a simple baseball slide is able to shatter it, should people really be walking on it? The answer is yes. According to the report from CNN, the guy only broke the top layer of glass. And these types of bridges are designed with several different layers so that the integrity of the bridge is never compromised. It may be scary when the glass cracks, but it's not actually going to break. Number 3. Glass floor disaster. There is only one thing scarier than a glass bridge. That's the glass viewing platform at the top of a skyscraper. There is something far more terrifying about standing above a city on a thin glass floor than walking across a glass bridge. It's enough to give anyone a heart attack. But what's really scary is what happened when the glass at a Chicago skyscraper cracked after a family stepped out onto the viewing platform. This happened 103 floors above the streets of the city at the famous viewing platform of Willis Tower. The family stepped on the glass and it immediately cracked and burst. Even though the employees of the tower insisted that the family was never in any danger, they were still way too shaken to continue with their tour. By the following day, the glass was already repaired. Number 2. Gorilla Rampage. Let's continue with families being terrified, simply because it's hilarious. At a Nebraska zoo, a family got far more than they bargained for when a rampaging gorilla nearly shattered the glass of its exhibit and ate them for breakfast. This incident was caught on video and posted on Reddit, and it has since been viewed millions of times. According to the report from CNN, the family immediately noticed that the gorilla enclosure that one of the animals was bleeding from a cut below its eyes. They then overheard some zookeepers talking about two gorillas that had just been in a fight. Apparently, one of the gorillas was still enraged by its previous battle. It targeted the family, charged at the window, smacked into it, and caused the glass to crack. Luckily for the family, the gorilla eventually calmed down and didn't manage to break all the way through the glass. However, that's still a pretty traumatic experience. If it were me, that would have probably been the last time I visited the gorilla exhibit. Even though these windows have multiple layers of glass and acrylic, there is no limit to the strength of an angry gorilla. Number 1. Tesla's Cybertruck. Perhaps the most embarrassing example of glass not doing what it's supposed to happened to the richest man in the world. When Elon Musk decided to unveil his ambitious Cybertruck to the public, there was one feature he really wanted to show off. The Cybertruck was supposed to come with unbreakable windows. The windows on this futuristic vehicle, at least according to Elon Musk, should have been able to withstand all kinds of punishment, making the truck extremely safe. But during the demonstration, both windows on the vehicle were broken by a measly steel ball thrown by a volunteer on stage. It was an absolutely humiliating demonstration for Elon Musk, who had to finish the rest of his demonstration while standing in front of the Cybertruck and its two smashed windows. It was like unveiling a new bulletproof vest, only to have the bullet sail through the vest and kill the guy wearing it. Of course, Musk had all kinds of wild excuses after the disaster at the demonstration. He claimed that because earlier in the show he had smashed the door with a sledgehammer to show how tough the door was, the integrity of the windows had already been compromised, which caused the steel ball to easily break them. Whether this is true is anybody's guess, but you can bet that Musk walked off that stage extremely embarrassed. Which of these horrifying incidents would scare you the most? Number 10. The rare white snake. When it comes to incredibly rare animals that are barely seen, there is nothing quite like the rare and extraordinary albino. However, this incredible snake recently discovered in Australia is not an albino. Instead, it is a different rare mutation that has caused its skin to be a bright shade of pale white. According to the Territory Wildlife Park in Berry Springs, a local resident stumbled upon this enormous snake and gave it to the park as a gift. And while you might think it's an albino at first, it actually has a condition known as leucism, meaning that it still retains a bit of its pigmentation. The snake has normal eyes, not the bright pink eyes that occur with albinism. It just has extremely white skin. It's not clear exactly what kind of snake this is, considering it has absolutely no markings because of its white color. The wildlife park currently has the beautiful serpent sitting on display for everyone to look at, because who wouldn't want to look at an incredibly rare mutated white snake? Number 9. Ghost dogs of the Amazon. When you think about the Amazon rainforest, the first animals that come to mind are probably going to be spiders, jaguars, and giant snakes, right? But did you know that deep in the lush rainforest of the Amazon, there are mysterious canines? These dogs don't look anything like the typical dogs you might see at your local park. These creatures are one of the least studied types of dogs on Earth and have rarely ever been seen by any scientists, even those who spent multiple years studying in the Amazon. Officially, these canines are referred to as short-eared dogs. However, they are so mysterious and elusive that they go by their popular name of ghost dogs. Even as scientists try to better understand these enigmatic creatures, they continue to come up short. What scientists do know is that the ghost dogs are very unlike their canine relatives. They prefer to hunt by themselves or in small groups of 2 or 3, and most of the time that humans have actually witnessed them is by using a remote camera set up in the forest. These dogs almost look more like jungle cats than anything else. It's currently believed that there are fewer than 15,000 of these curious ghost dogs left in the wild. Number 8. The vaquita. The vaquita is the rarest marine mammal on planet Earth. It's part of the cetacean family, just like whales, porpoises, and of course, dolphins. It sort of looks like a miniature dolphin, but what makes this little animal so rare is gonna bring a tear to your eye. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, there are only about 10 of these animals remaining in the wild. 10. The vaquita is a type of porpoise, but it wasn't even discovered until just recently in 1958. Within just half a century, the vaquita has practically been wiped off the face of the earth, mostly because of illegal fishing operations in the Gulf of California. The vaquita can grow to be around 5 feet or 1.5 meters long and weigh up to 120 pounds or 54 kilograms, making it significantly smaller than other porpoises and dolphins. The vaquita has a dark gray body with dark rings around its eyes and dark patches around its lips. It almost appears as though the vaquita is wearing eyeliner and lipstick, and it's inarguably adorable. They live mostly in the shallow waters off the Gulf, which makes them more susceptible to being captured in nets. But seeing as there are only a handful of them left, you are highly unlikely to ever accidentally bump into one. Hey, real quick, if this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome. Give this video a like and hit that subscribe button for more videos like these. Number 7. The fairy armadillo. By far one of the most absurd creatures on the list today is the pink fairy armadillo. The pink fairy armadillo dwells in the deserts of Argentina. Forget everything you thought you knew about armadillos, as this one is unlike any other. First of all, it's the smallest type of armadillo in the world, only growing to be about 5 inches or 12 centimeters long, and weighing a quarter of a pound or 0.22 kilograms. It also has a rosy pink shell that makes it kind of look more like a snack than an actual animal. And even though it's called a fairy, it of course does not have wings, sorry to disappoint. It's called a fairy just because it's tiny and ridiculously cute. But the fairy armadillo is also very elusive. According to a conservation biologist from Argentina's National Scientific and Technical Research Council, they are so rare, it's almost as if they're mythical creatures. After studying the armadillos for 13 years, this conservation biologist has never once seen a living specimen in the wild. Scientists have no idea how many are out there living in the desert, and they don't know a lot about how they operate. But here's what scientists do know. The pink fairy armadillo spends most of its time digging its way through the earth, which is probably why it's never seen by people. It has such big claws for its body, which it uses to dig tunnels through the dirt, that it has a difficult time walking properly when on a hard surface. The armadillo has likely evolved over hundreds of thousands of years to live beneath the sand, out of the way of human beings. Number 6. Albino giraffe. Speaking of mythical-like creatures, 2 of the rarest animals on Earth were recently spotted in Kenya. I'm talking about the incredible albino giraffes. There were 3 albino giraffes in total, but then rangers discovered the carcasses of a female and her baby in a village in the northeastern part of the country, tragically killed by poachers. Both giraffes were pure white albinos. Now, there's only 1 albino giraffe left alive, and conservationists believe it's the only one remaining anywhere in the entire world. These particular albino giraffes were first photographed in 2017, according to the BBC, and they captured the imaginations of the world. However, they also attracted the attention of poachers. Even though the community has been taking huge steps in trying to conserve the rarest and most unique species of animals found throughout Kenya, they can't seem to stop the poachers. Even after taking down these 2 amazing albino giraffes, the poachers that did it are still at large. As for just how rare it is to see an albino giraffe, it's basically a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. This is especially true considering 40% of the giraffe population has vanished within just 30 years, and the poaching is not slowing down. These super rare giraffes were probably the last ones that will ever walk on our planet. Number 5. Eastern spotted skunk. Most people probably wouldn't think of a skunk as being a rare animal. They're usually stinking up highways all over, but there is actually a type of skunk known as the eastern spotted skunk that is shy, almost never seen, and very dangerous. Just like other skunks, the eastern spotted skunk has a horrifying defense mechanism. When this creature is threatened, it does a handstand and then aims its butt at the potential predator, letting loose a spray of foul proportions. However, it is unlikely to happen to you anytime soon. These types of skunks primarily live in Florida, and they are so rare that scientists don't know how many are out there or what exactly distinguishes them from other types of skunks. Scientists are aware that they have a different pattern, making them easily identifiable as a different subspecies, and that they have extremely slender bodies, more like weasels. In fact, the eastern spotted skunk is so rare that wildlife researchers don't even know if the animals are found all throughout Florida, or if they're in any other states, or if there is a single family of them living in the swamps. They just know they don't want to be sprayed by one. Number 4, pale tiger. If you came here to see some big, mystical animals, you're in luck. It's time to talk about the incredibly rare and pale tiger that was recently photographed in India. Now, this is not at all like the white snakes and the white giraffes that we talked about earlier. It doesn't have any kind of mutation. It simply has exceptionally white coloring. It still has its black stripes, it's just unusually pale, and this makes it look like an enchanting beast out of some kind of fairy tale. This tiger was spotted in South India in the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve when a forest guide saw it crossing the road just 200 feet or 60 meters in front of him. Thinking fast, the forest guide managed to quickly snap a photograph before the tiger vanished into the underbrush. According to the Smithsonian magazine, this is the palest tiger seen in India in decades, and it's potentially one of the rarest tigers on our planet right now. You may be wondering what makes the pale tiger so special, considering that there are so many white tigers in the United States. But the truth is that white tigers in the US are not natural. These tigers are created through breeding, much of which is inbreeding. Because white tigers don't generally occur in the wild, the same as ligers and tigons, the only way to create them for the zoos in the US is by breeding them with their own kin. This pale tiger discovered in India is 100% natural, which makes it far more special. Number 3, fanged mouse deer. Now it's time to meet the rarest deer-like species on the planet. It's known as the silver-backed chevrotain, or sometimes as the Vietnamese mouse deer. It was spotted for the first time in 30 years in 2019, shocking scientists all over the world. According to the report from CBC News, it was photographed in a forest in the south of Vietnam using special trap cameras set up to find elusive animals. But this is not like any deer that you have ever seen. In fact, it's actually not a deer at all. And even though it's often referred to as a mouse deer, it's also not a mouse. It's actually about the size of a rabbit and is confirmed as the smallest hoofed animal on Earth. These creatures are shy, they have 2 fangs in their mouth, kind of like vampires, and for the last 30 years, scientists have assumed they were either extinct or very close to it. Luckily, they seem to be alive, and hopefully they continue to stay that way. The fanged mouse deer is so rare that it was only sighted 5 times between 1910 and 1990, then not again until 2019. Number 2, spotted zebra. Is a zebra if it doesn't have stripes? That's the question we're trying to answer with this next incredibly rare animal. A creature was recently photographed by a wildlife expert that appears to be a zebra with spots instead of stripes. But how is this possible? Every zebra has a unique pattern of stripes, just like how all humans have unique fingerprints. But this takes it to a whole new level of unique. A zebra with spots. While it might seem like an evolutionary advantage, it's actually not. Experts say that because the zebra has dark fur and bright white spots, it's more likely to become the target of predators. It stands out dramatically amongst the other zebras, and this makes it a prime target for fast animals with big teeth, like lions and hyenas. Still, there's no denying how special and unique the spotted zebra is. In fact, it's so rare that it might be the first ever of its kind to be born in the famous Masai Mara Nature Reserve in Kenya. Number 1. Eastern Spadefoot Toad. The last on the list today for wild animals that are rarely ever seen is the Eastern Spadefoot Toad. The reason for its scarcity is that it has way too many conditions that need to be met for it to breed. It's basically the Goldilocks of amphibians, requiring a pool of water that is not too shallow but not too deep, and also not too warm but not too cool. This bizarre set of conditions has made it one of the rarest toads on Earth, seeing as it won't breed unless everything is just the way it likes it. It is the pickiest toad in the world. According to the Providence Journal, there are estimated to only be between 40 and 50 of them left in Rhode Island, where they call home. And that's unfortunate, because one of the strangest and yet most fascinating aspects of the Eastern Spadefoot toad is that many people claim it smells like peanut butter. Weird. Of course, that doesn't mean that it will taste like peanut butter. If you happen upon one of these fuzzy toads, you should definitely not try to eat it. I repeat, do not eat the spadefoot toad, even if it smells like peanut butter. Thanks for watching. Which of these animals do you think is the coolest? And which one do you hope to see the most? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for more videos like these.